Hey guys, I'm Ash.
And I'm Pete.
We're two friends with a combo of 7 kids ranging from toddlers to 20s and 2 crazy husbands.
Our paths were not easy. With childhood battle wounds, divorce, second marriages and all, we somehow found each other. And together we talk real life, laugh, cry, and figure out how to survive the day.
Music is by Dustbowl Champion. To hear Dustbowl Champion's newest hits, search Dustbowl Champion on Spotify. Hey guys, it's Ash and Pete.
Hey. Hey.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh.
How you doing?
Oh, just, another wonderful week here in paradise.
I know. Well, I think, let's see. Last week we didn't talk about the kids going back, did we?
No.
Yeah.
Well, we mentioned they would be going back, but
back.
we didn't discuss them being back yet.
So they were back for a full week last week, which, isn't it weird that they already had school picture day?
Yes, I don't like that. I really don't. Maybe let my kid get a little time to adjust.
Yeah, because now I don't even remember what my kid wore that day. I mean, she's a junior, so I know it's like I really don't have a say anymore,
right?
For the most part, but I would have liked to have made sure I checked her.
Like, hey, is your hair okay? No, yeah. My kid didn't do his hair at all last week, so I know his hair looks awesome, But
maybe they'll get a redo in a few weeks.
But they only do the retakes when you buy the pictures, and I don't even remember seeing a form to buy them. It's only a link.
Yeah.
Did you get anything other than a link?
No, I think I only got a link.
So you have to go on and do that. I really have to make sure I do it since we didn't get pictures last year.
How about my kid gave me like the last page of her syllabus in one of her classes and said her sign it. And I was like, I don't know what world you live in, but
right.
I don't sign anything without reading everything.
Right.
So you better bring that syllabus out here.
Yeah.
And she started messing with me. She's like, why? It's none of your concern. And I was like, oh, that's why I have to sign it.
Right.
It has nothing to do with me.
No concern of yours.
No.
Yeah. That's so funny.
So it sat on the counter for 2 days until she finally brought it.
I mean, that sounds like a kid. I know. I asked Jackson on, I think Wednesday, I'm like, is there anything that I need to sign? Oh yeah, and then I didn't see it until Thursday night. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure we discussed something yesterday that needed to be signed.
I only wish that things were uniformed. Like I had 2 teachers that emailed a link to the Google form that they wanted signed for their syllabus.
Yeah.
And then I had a handwritten 1 or 2. And then I had one that was like, read it.
And go online?
And then go online with the link.
That's weird.
To sign it.
That's weird.
I don't know. It was very confusing. It was just like, I just kind of wish all of them were the same.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, I'm thinking like, if I'm a parent and I'm a little like, then how is my kid going to keep track of all this?
Right. And then you're trying to figure out who sent an email, because some of them sent an email saying like, oh, this is coming home. And then some of them were like, well, here, fill this out. And then nothing. And then another. And so who sent something, who didn't send something? Am I supposed to be getting something from this class? Am I not?
I know. And you know what? I had to ask her, I was like, hey, do you need stuff for PE?
Oh, and I know. I didn't even ask.
She goes, no, my stuff still fits from last year. I have everything. I was like, okay. She's like, I'll just have to buy a new lock. And I was like, okay. Which I don't know what happens to her locks every year. I feel like every year I buy a new lock. I don't understand.
She leaves them at the locker probably.
But I'm like, okay, cool. But see, I'm thinking like, this is like year 3, really 2.
Yeah.
But year 3 into it. So I kind of already know. But I'm like, for those that are just coming into it, your son is now a freshman.
I know. And I just don't like it. I like when I can keep track of one teacher and that's all I have to talk to. I mean, I know that's really not how life continues on, but that's how I like it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like it's hard for me. I feel like I want to control everything, and so
Totally.
it's very difficult for me because I don't know what he has to do. And they always say like, "Oh, check Parent Connect and blah blah blah."
They don't
Well,
update
that's
it all the
great
time.
when it's there,
Right.
but when it's not, I don't know if I need to be on my kid or if I shouldn't be. Or
Well, one of the teachers in her syllabus put that they update grades every 2 weeks.
which great, that helps me not at all
Okay, so I have to wait 2 weeks and I
to
have
know
to,
if my kid's
yeah,
missing something.
yeah. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I just rather be able to reach out to one teacher and know, and it's
I know, and
yeah.
it's a total part of like, gotta let them figure it out, but you don't want
I
them to like sink,
know exactly.
you know.
Yeah, no, mine will sink because Hayden's already like, Mom, do I have to go to this class? Yes, you have to go to this class. We're not doing anything. Cool, then go there and get credit for nothing. Like, you're going to go
What's
home and do nothing.
what's his
So it's
elective?
That's a good question. Spanish.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and he's like, Mom, I don't like Spanish. I don't know what to tell you. You have to have a foreign language. What
Yeah.
other language are you going to take?
Yeah.
Come on.
He can take French.
No, he's not going
to.
Oui. No, he's not going to do great in French either.
Yeah.
I think, and I mean, maybe I'm just biased, but I think Spanish is so much easier to understand than something like that because we do hear Spanish words.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, sure.
we live in an area
Right.
where Spanish is a language that's spoken. So,
Right.
You hear, maybe you don't exactly know, but you've heard it. Whereas, I mean, what French words do you know? Come on.
Right.
French fries?
I was like, for sure, like she needs to either take Spanish. I mean, Spanish was kind of a given, I think.
Right.
It's like you take Spanish or you take like Hmong because
Mhm.
in our
In our
community,
area, yeah.
that's really what a big part of it is.
Right.
So you need to learn a language that is used.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. No, my best friend from high school, she took French, and then it was like, well, what do you use French for?
Right.
I remember being like drunk. We were at this house party and there were like some pictures and they had like French words on them. She's like, that says, she's like making stuff up. I'm like, oh, and she's like telling me like, my name is this in French. And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. Like I took Spanish. I know nothing at all what you're saying, but yeah, and I mean, maybe you're going to go to France. So I don't know, but for most people,
yeah,
you're really going to use those other languages.
Yeah.
No offense to the French.
No, we just don't really
common.
use it here.
Yeah.
Maybe if we were closer to Canada or something, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Could be our demo,
if you were our friend and worked for a company that had Canadian
plants and stuff. Yeah, that could be. But we had a good first week with my oldest.
Good.
We are 2 weeks into school with the two little ones.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2 weeks, someone in preschool tested positive for COVID. My kids got croup. 3 other kids got croup. Like, things were a hot mess in that class.
Your husband's gone.
Yeah, so I had 6 little ones,
mm-hmm.
which was not fun.
No.
Gigi brought it home first, and then Danny got it. Took him to the doctor. It's croup. They're like, nope, it's not COVID. It's croup. But it's kind of scary now because everyone assumes if your kids have a fever, or if your kids have a cough or runny nose, mm-hmm. like the first thing they're going to say is it COVID? Is it COVID? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't even know what the rest of the year is going to look like.
Yeah. No.
They went to school Monday.
And that was it.
They were home all the rest of the week.
Which it really puts you in a tough spot because so Hayden wasn't feeling well on Friday. And so he stayed home, and I'm a horrible person because I should be teaching my kids to be honest and stuff like that. But I'm like, hey, if anyone asks, I'm putting that he did roll his ankle on like Thursday or something. I think it was on Thursday he rolled his ankle. So I said that's why he was out on Friday, because I don't want to deal, like last year, Jackson got, like, he wasn't feeling good. He has really bad allergies and stuff. And it's like he wasn't feeling well. And so the nurse is calling me every day, like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. If there was a concern that what my kid's issue is COVID, I would keep them home and I would let you know and I would have them tested. But it's like last year, my entire family got the flu and we had to all go test. And it's like, it's the stomach flu. Like, I mean, all of us tested negative. It wasn't COVID, but the schools have to do this and it's so frustrating. And so I just told Hayden, I'm putting that you injured yourself. You injured your ankle, which he did, not necessarily a lie, but he wasn't feeling well on Friday. And I'm like, I'm not going there.
What was wrong with him on Friday?
He had an upset stomach.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I'm not going to tell him that's what's wrong with him, because then it's, it's considered a symptom. And then now he has to test.
And it's tough. Like, I get it. Look, and this is what I told Gigi School. I was like, I'm going to keep her home, and I'll monitor and see how she is. And if I feel like I need to take her to the doctor, I will and stuff. Obviously for her, it was like with one of the kids, and I don't know the whole story. They didn't tell us like the kids were in direct contact or when the kid tested and was positive. Like, I didn't know all of the logistics of it. All I know is I got a notice that there was a child who tested positive in their classroom at some point last week or on the weekend or something. So I get, like, for them especially, they're like, take her home and you may want to get her tested.
Well, so, that makes sense. Right. When there's possible exposure.
Right. And I'm like, I have no problem keeping them home if they're sick. I don't want to send them anyway.
Right.
They're miserable.
Yeah.
She was totally fine, but she had a little cough.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the little one got sick, then it was like, okay, something's not right.
Yeah.
I'm for sure going to take him to the doctor.
Right.
And luckily it wasn't anything like that. But it's
which you already had an idea.
I did.
It was just, hey,
I could tell.
Get something?
Croup is one of those things. Like, I feel like you can tell
what it is.
The cough is very like noticeable. Right.
You know what it is.
The kids have had it before. Gigi had it once before, and so I knew,
right.
But obviously I'm gonna, okay, not a problem. We'll keep them
going. And I understand that. I get it when it's, okay, so a child has tested and now, like,
but it's such a fear coughing, now.
And I get that, and I'm okay with that. But it's like my, Jackson last year, he wasn't exposed. It wasn't anything. It was, I knew what it was, and I get there all, but the hard thing is that every symptom is a symptom of it.
Right.
And so it's like, I knew I had the flu. I knew my boys had the flu. I knew my husband had the flu. Like, we all had it. We knew what it was, but I still had, in order for him to return back to school, and it's like 2 weeks before the end of school, and it, Mom, I want to go, and that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, that's frustrating because now I have to go and get them tested. I have to take time out of my work schedule to go get them tested, even though I know we all just have the stomach flu.
Yeah.
And so I understand when there's like, okay, there's a potential of this, but when it's something like, you obviously knew they had croup. I mean, you can tell, you hear it, you know what it is.
Yeah.
And so for us, it was like, we had everyone in the home who had symptoms had to test negative in order for him to return to school, which is frustrating. And that's why I was like, I'm not going to deal with it with Hayden, because even though he had a stomach ache, I knew it wasn't anything like that. And I'm just not going to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say he hurt himself, whatever. I don't know. It's just
and
a
was
mess.
He fine over the weekend?
Yeah. Yeah. He ended up, like, Friday he wasn't that, like, like wasn't feeling that great, and then Saturday came around and he was kind of like but fine, and he's fine.
Yeah.
But not gonna tell the school.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to send my kid if I think they may have it,
Right.
like,
right.
I'm not trying to send a sick
Exactly.
kid, but I'm also not trying to notify you of a potential symptom that isn't really that. Yeah, that's not what it is,
It'll be an interesting year. Like I said, that we're only 2 weeks in. And I know a lot of schools are saying that that's the case. It's like kids are already out sick.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We'll see how this year goes.
I know. And it's like, and I understand it, and it's frustrating. Like, there are two sides of it. I get it, and I understand why everyone's concerned and that kind of thing. But it is also frustrating. Like, last year toward the end of the year, so Jackson has allergies, asthma, a lot of issues that could potentially be COVID symptoms. So in order for me to allow him to go to school without testing negative, I have to have a doctor sign a form saying he has a medical condition. He can't go to school while he's experiencing any of these symptoms. So my kid basically stays home for like half the year. But he doesn't have to test negative to get back to school. Like allergies, they know he has allergies. He has to stay home while he has those issues, but he can return without a test if we have a doctor fill out the form. And I was talking to one of the ladies in the office, and she had said, I think next year's going to be so much better. I don't think we're going to have to worry about this. And then Delta comes, and it's like, no, we're still worrying about it. It's still the mask. I still have to have a form signed by a doctor. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It really is. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
We're in frustrating times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's frustrating for everyone. I think it's frustrating as parents. I think it's frustrating as
kids,
as teachers, as businesses.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Everyone.
And
I don't think anyone is purposefully trying to be like unsafe or harm anyone or anything like that.
Or purposefully be like, I'm just going to be difficult just to be difficult.
Right.
I just think it's just the way things are right now, and it's shitty.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And that's why, like the nurse last year, she was like, I'm really sorry. I'm like, I understand you're doing your job.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to still be a B word, and I'm still going to do things to negatively impact stuff. I'm not going to be a B word to you, but I'm going to do other things. So it's like, I get it. And I mean, they're just doing their job. And I mean, I worked in customer service for years. I understand you're just doing what you're told to do. Right. It is what it is. That's what you have to do. I get it. And so that's why I told her, I understand, but I will do these other things that maybe I wouldn't have done if that weren't the situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I did it last year, and depending on how frustrated I get this year, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's rough.
It's rough. So, I want to talk today about our kids a little bit more. I know, you just sighed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. Parenting is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are a lot. Their stages are a lot.
They are. And I don't think, more recently I've struggled a little bit with how COVID affected Hayden. It's been a little more difficult. I feel like you were really given a really difficult hand during all of that.
Yeah.
And I felt like I kind of coasted, like things sucked and things were emotional and they were difficult, but I felt like in comparison to some stuff that you had to go through, I really had it easy. And then now I'm in like the aftermath of it, and it's just miserable. And I'm like, ugh. I'm just so over it.
When you say you felt like you were coasting it, you felt like although there were issues and although your kids maybe didn't have their normalcy and you knew that it was, I mean, of course you know it's impacting them, right? It's impacting them. It's impacting their school, their grades, their social,
mostly
their
social.
social life. It's causing, I feel like they probably felt like they were in a hamster wheel a lot.
Yeah.
And as kids all balled up in that had to be frustrating and stuff. But what do you think, why do you think it's harder now? And I don't want to say post COVID because we're not out of this shit.
Right.
But things kind of in the last couple of months at least opened up a little bit more. And now the kids are at least back in school, which they went back to school a little bit half part-time into last year. So it kind of started a little bit the end of last year.
So I felt like I had coasted last year because even though it sucked and the kids didn't get to be with their friends and school was different, I didn't feel like I was dealing with a lot of the emotional stuff that a lot of kids dealt with. A lot of kids had a really hard time transitioning. You know, it was very difficult socially and emotionally for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And I felt very much like, I mean, Jackson, and I might sound bad to some people, but it is what it is. This is how we handled it, and everything was fine. But Jackson hung out with his friends. Like, he has, you know, he's in an elementary school, so his friends are in our neighborhood. You know, nobody's really far or anything like that. So his closest friends live very close to us, and he was with them a lot during COVID. You know, he still had that social interaction. With Hayden, I knew that he was missing out on things, and I knew that it was difficult for him not to be around his friends and not be able to do things. Like, he really felt like he was at an age where he was going to finally get to go and do things with his friends, you know? And that just didn't happen. It kind of like completely shut down. And I knew that was a bummer for him, but I didn't realize how bad it was. I didn't realize how difficult it was on him emotionally, psychologically. It wasn't good. And I didn't notice that because he never complained. It wasn't anything where he really seemed like he wasn't doing good.
Yeah.
Until he wasn't doing good.
Yeah.
And it was like, so that finally came to a head, and it was like, like, and then I feel oblivious, like that horrible parent who doesn't know their kids on drugs when their kids are on drugs. But I feel like that's really how it happens. They seem okay, and then all of a sudden you're blindsided and things aren't okay, you know? And so it was a lot of me not realizing how big of an impact it was, like how much it really did affect him. And so we've been kind of, and he's funny because he tells me, you know, like, I've been struggling a lot with it lately, just because even though I've struggled, like, okay, it's hard when your kids aren't doing well in school. It's hard when there are things like that going on. I don't feel like I've personally really ever struggled with knowing how to, and I mean, sometimes I don't know how to help my kids, but it's more like maybe I don't know like the best way to get them to understand something on homework, or, you know, something like that. And this was the first time I really felt like I felt helpless. Like, I didn't know how to help my kid. I felt like I was not the kind of parent they needed. I didn't know, like, they were struggling and I didn't know how to fix it at all.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that kind of came about recently. And it was hard because I just felt like I mean, I have these kids that I'm supposed to protect them, and I'm supposed to help them, and I'm supposed to make things better for them, and I have no idea how to do this. So that's been really tough. Like, I feel like I didn't realize COVID was going to do that. I felt like we were okay. You know, like life kept going for us. We still worked. We went and like,
Right.
we didn't ever, I mean, I did stay home for a period of time before, like I was in the job I was in, I wasn't fully trained. So I did stay home for a period of time. But once things started to kind of open back up and I was able to train, it wasn't like that. And I've been working.
Right. You've been working. Your husband's been working. Everyone's been
My
going out.
friends are working.
No one is like bunkered in their
exactly
in their home.
Exactly. But that's not how Hayden felt.
Yeah.
Hayden felt very bunkered. And then I just felt like the worst mom ever for not realizing that stuff either. You know, like he's obviously going through this stuff and I had no idea. Like, what kind of mom am I, you know? So,
but how are you supposed to know if he?
Because I'm his mom. Like, why don't I know? Why don't I realize he's struggling? You know?
But if he's hiding it, if he's acting like everything's okay.
But shouldn't I know that something's off?
How?
Because I mean, he's still like, he would be moody and stuff like that.
He's a teenager.
I know. And that's what I put it off as. Like, he's a teen, like, he's a 14-year-old boy. What?
Right.
Like, that's how he's going to act.
Right.
But now I look back and I'm like, I really should have picked up on those things.
It's always easier to
I know, hindsight's 20/20, but it's just, I don't know. It's just been tough lately.
You're a good mom.
You're a good mom too. And you don't feel like that always.
No, I feel like a terrible mom all the time.
I know. And why?
And that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about today. Am I a shitty parent?
If I could be any other parent, I would be you. You're my role model.
You're insane.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
That's a true story. That's a real
because
statement.
I feel like I fail every single day.
I don't think you do though.
And I think what's hard for me is I feel like I don't have a connection.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
But I think, I mean,
with my oldest, because
not all of it, but
I know
it, like, a lot of it is her age. Like, that's what I was telling Hayden just the other day. Why don't you want to talk to me? Like, just talk to me at all. Not even, you don't have to talk to me about any problems, but I'm like wanting to talk to you and you can't even talk to me. Like, you don't even want to have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about anything in particular.
Right.
Like, let's just talk. But he's got zero interest in that.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, gosh, for you, it's even worse because T is a teenage girl, which, I mean, I'm not even a teenager and my hormones are ridiculous.
Wackadoo.
So could you imagine? My mom always says like, oh gosh, yeah, like an ex-boy. Yeah, I liked him as a person, but I did not like him for you. He always made you cry. And I'm like, I cried all the time. Like, I don't remember that kind of stuff, but she's like, yeah, all the time. And I'm like, wow, like, I don't remember those things, but it's the same thing with kids is like, it's what you're going through at that time. And it's just, in comparison to our lives, it's so minute, and she's not going to realize that kind of stuff, when it comes down to it. But in the meantime, we think we're like, the world's worst parents.
Yeah. Or just like, I feel like a failure.
Yeah.
It's like that failed. It's like, I seriously feel like Stamp failed. Like, where, like, go back, P, go back. Where did we get off?
Where did you mess up?
Where did I fuck up? Where did I do it? Because somewhere along the way, I thought I was doing everything right, and it wasn't. Right. So we're going to take a break real quick. We're going to come back.
Okay.
and go back through our map and figure out where the hell we went off track.
Perfect.
All right. Hey guys, we're back.
Yes.
And we're here to talk about where we went wrong.
Where did we go wrong in our parenting, I guess, parenting journey? I don't know what you want to call it.
Well, here's the thing. Let me start by saying I think that you have a really good relationship and open relationship with your boys.
I'm probably to a fault open with my boys.
Yeah, but I don't know. But see, that's where I think, like, how could you know if you're open and you're constantly checking on your kids, like,
because they're not going to share that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I mentioned, back when we were talking about sexual abuse, like my mom would tell us, like, if anyone ever does this, you need to tell them. And she would say it a lot. And she told me once I was older that I would get mad at her. And it's like, because even though kids are going through that kind of stuff, they're not necessarily going to want to open up to you.
Yeah.
You're still the parent, and they still, regardless of how open your relationship is, they are still going to feel different. You're still the parent,
Yeah.
And as close as I feel, like my mom and I are very, very close.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I could tell my mom anything. And I always wanted my kids to feel that way. And that's just not how they were. Not that that's not how they were. I'm sure there are things, actually, I know there are things that my kids have told me that, I know it's because they feel comfortable and open telling me that kind of thing. But there are still things that I wouldn't have told my mom, and there are still things my kids aren't going to tell me. Still things your kids aren't going to tell you. And I don't know. It's just hard because I feel like I should know, right? Like I'm the mom.
I think we all think that.
Yeah.
I think we all think like I'm the mom. It's not like I'm not involved, and it's not like I'm like parenting at a distance, or at least I'm not trying to parent at a distance.
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm present, I'm in the day-to-day, and I'm doing it all. And how can I not know how serious something is?
Exactly.
Like I'm sure you knew, like it's hard on them,
right? Yeah, it's weird to be in that kind of situation, right? That's not the norm. And I feel, obviously I have my boys in school and not homeschooling them, and I think you were homeschooled, and I think a really good part about not being homeschooled is that social interaction that you get. You know, I felt like that was, those are all the things that I remember as a kid,
Yeah.
When I look back at experiences at school, it's never about, yes, I remember stuff that I learned, but it's not about what I read in a textbook. It's the relationships that I have with people.
Look, I everyone has their reasons for doing different things. I was homeschooled. I guess you could say homeschooled. Really, it was more like independent studies because I just did it at home. My mom worked, so it wasn't like there was anyone home teaching me.
Yeah, you were your own homeschool teacher.
Yes, I was the teacher and the student. I did books, but everyone has their own reasons. And when things are so crazy right now, I understand parents' concern with sending their kids to schools, whether it's,
I would like to be able to homeschool, to be honest.
but
if I could afford to do it, we do depend on my income. So it's not something that I can just walk away from.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are actually a lot of things I wish that I could do.
But I have never, since I came out of it, have been for homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've made that very clear with all of my friends that I would never homeschool my child.
Right.
That's why.
And you
that's why COVID
to go to school.
Yes, and that's why COVID like really hurt me for my daughter so much, because it was absolutely the one thing I never wanted for my child.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted my child to be homeschooled. I never wanted that, because I truly in my heart believe in, if you don't agree, you don't agree,
and that's
whatever.
Okay.
But I absolutely feel that the social interaction with children is just as important as the education
aspect. I agree.
It is a complete balance. They can be the smartest freaking kid in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
My kid could be,
the next Einstein.
Good. Yeah. She could be the brightest student and be the spelling bee champion of the world and all of these things.
Yeah.
But if the girl can't figure out how to talk to people, and if the girl it has no friends,
mm-hmm.
how hard do you think that's going to be for the rest of her life?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, because
you have to have a balance.
Yes. Because, I mean, you have to be able to understand social interactions.
Yes.
When it comes to interviewing, when it comes to working with other people. I mean, the rest of your life, you have to know how to do those things.
I'll never forget, I had gotten into this
drug ring?
No, it was a workout group. With a local female boxer.
Yes.
Who's
I know who you're talking
about. She's awesome. She's
she's like a professional boxer.
Yes. She retired, whatever, was done with it. Very strong, very good story. And a lot of people didn't like her because she was very cut and dry. Like, she's a straight shooter. It is what it is. But I loved that.
I love that kind of personality.
So she was great. So she'd have these workouts outside, and you pay like $5 to go work out with her.
Yeah.
And a friend of me and a friend would go, and we would work out with her. And then as time went on, I think I maybe went by myself sometimes or whatever. Well, she did this like overnight stay up in the hills, and she was gonna you were gonna camp, you were gonna work out at night, you were gonna work out first, like see the sunrise and do a hike and all this stuff. And knowing nobody in the group,
you went.
I went. Right?
I've never heard this. I love when I hear these things from you.
So I go, and I was young.
How young? Late 20s?
Yeah, maybe, mid to late 20s, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe 20, maybe 25 or so. And so we're sitting around the campfire and, kind of like telling like who we are and stuff, because not everybody maybe knows each other or whatever, even though most of them knew each other because they were all friends from working.
They weren't weirdos going off to the randos like you.
No. And so I'm telling them about me, and they said, they asked what school I went to, and I said, well, so I had like kind of explained, and they're like,
and
are you kidding me? And I said, no. And I just remember her going, you are the most normal homeschool child I've ever talked to in my life.
But that's so true.
Because, and it's not to say that they're all this way.
No.
But a lot of them don't have that social interaction, so they become very socially awkward.
Yes.
And it's not their fault. It's because of their environment.
Yeah.
They just didn't have that. So, I'll never forget that, because I was like, oh no, she's like, no, seriously, how in the world did you kind of come out normal? I'm like, oh, well, I'm not normal. I'm not normal. There's way more to me,
but that's, I remember being in like 3rd, 4th grade, and in our apartment complex, there were some kids that were homeschooled, and they were very different. they were very different kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just because you don't have those interactions and experiences. And don't get me wrong, there are some experiences that I'm like, no, I don't want my kid to have that because that kid over there is an a-hole.
Right.
And I don't want my kid to have
That's
to
why
go
I
through
say
that.
I understand why parents
Yeah.
do and why there's
Yeah.
a very I don't want to say a fear because there's a reason behind it and it's a good reason, but it's I understand why they wouldn't want them in public school.
Right.
I do
there
get
are
it.
things
There's
that
things.
people don't want their kids to expose to.
Right.
I mean, there's
beliefs, you know, there's different things that
Hayden was in kindergarten and I got a call from, you remember Laura used to be our GIS, and I got a call from her when I was at work, and she said, if you could give me a call back, it's not an emergency, he's okay, but if you could give me a call back. And it was that this little boy in his class told him he was going to beat his ass like third day of kindergarten.
Oh my
Mind you, I didn't want to put my kid, when we first moved to the neighborhood, I thought, I got to get out of here soon because I can't have my kids going to the school. Like, that was my first thought. I don't want my kids going to school there because, I mean, we live in an area where there are some rougher kids, you know?
Right.
And I didn't want my kids to do that.
I think your kids were probably the minority.
Oh, for sure. They still are.
Yeah.
You know?
And so they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could get picked on.
And I wasn't even worried about the minority of it. It was just that there are these really rough kids, and I don't want my kids to, you know, potentially have issues like that.
Yeah.
My girlfriend talked to me about how, like, going to that kind of school and having the diversity would be really amazing. And so I left them there, but I mean, I ended up getting them to go there, but day 3 and I got that call and it was like, and then I'm like, how was he? Like, and she was like, no, he was fine. He was just like, we'll call her Mrs. P. He said he was gonna, you know, blah, blah, blah. He said a bad word. And it was like, he was totally fine. But I'm like, is he okay? You know, and it's like, especially when, you know, maybe you know your kid's going to go into an environment that is not necessarily what you want your kid around.
But you do what you think is best for your kid, and honestly, that's what makes you the best parent that you can be. I don't feel like I'm a bad parent, but I feel like I fail a lot. And I feel like, I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's just like, this is a normal thing. I don't know if it's so not normal and I'm not fixing it. I don't know how to fix it.
I feel like
I don't know if it's the times.
I think it's I feel like it's normal. I feel like it's the times. I feel like, and something that I've been feeling a lot, especially in the last week, is that I'm not the kind of parent my kids need.
But I feel like that too, because I feel
that's why we think we're failing, because we're not doing something that they need, right? Like, that's why these issues are arising. That's why they're struggling,
right?
Because I'm not doing something that they need,
right?
But what should we be doing? Is it really that we're not doing something that they need, or is it that we can't always be everything for them? They have to grow and they have to do these things. And now I'm saying this and hearing it to myself, and I'm like, oh, that's a good point, Ashley. I mean, you were really horrible this week, and like, I felt like the worst mom in the world. I had a full-on meltdown in front of my kids. Jackson's like over there hugging me, Mom, like patting my back. Hayden's like, Mom, it's okay. We're going to be fine. We're going to be okay. It's okay. Like, why am I having to have my kids comfort me? Like, hello, you're the parent, right? Like, full on meltdown, and I'm a crazy person. And I'm like, and I know we're going to be okay. I get that. I just feel like being so helpless, and I just want to fix it for them. I don't want them hurting, you know, like, they're hurting and I don't want them to feel that. I want my kids I don't ever want my kids to hurt,
Right.
and
Of
I
course.
want them to be happy, and I want things to be good for them, and I want to be doing anything I can to prevent that. But in reality, we all have to hurt. We all have to feel these things. We all have to go through these situations, and maybe we feel like we're failing, but in reality, we can't keep them in a bubble, and I feel like that's all I want to do right now is keep them in a bubble, keep them from hurting, but we can't, and maybe that's where, you say you sometimes feel like you don't have a relationship, but I feel like that's kind of how I feel like there's a disconnect, but it's because I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what I should be doing that I'm not doing. And I just think that I don't think it's that we're failing. Like Hayden's like, you're a good mom. Like it's not about you. Like he told me that you're not doing anything. It's not about you. It's going to take time. He told me it's going to take time, and I'm like, why are you smart? Like, but it's like, as a mom, I just want them to be better,
Yeah.
like I don't, and sometimes I feel like I'm the one causing, like, and you and I are similar in the way, like, our oldest kids, they're very smart kids, and we expect a lot out of them, and we expect, I don't want to say perfection, but close to perfection, because we know they can achieve it. And it's very frustrating for us when they don't, because we know they're capable of it.
Right.
And so that's also why I'm like, maybe I'm not the kind of mom I need to be, because maybe that's not what he needs from me. But it's difficult for me not to feel that way, because I know he can do it. It's like, and I don't know what the balance is. I don't. But I don't think you're failing in any way.
See, I feel like your son is so sweet to you when you feel
but
like you're
he's
failing.
A boy. Okay. But Hayden's very emotional and sensitive.
Like I could be like having a meltdown, and I feel like my oldest would be like, seriously, like this is not even about you. Why are you
She's
crying?
A girl. And I don't mean to say anything bad. I'm a girl.
She's mean.
Okay, but I have a question. Have you ever
Not to other people.
Right.
Not to other people. She's the sweetest, nicest person to her friends and everything. And she could be so sweet. And I used to hurt my heart so much, because I always felt like she would always give and give and give to all these like kids and her friends, right? She'd label them her friends, and she'd give her heart, give her last penny,
and
buy
who's
them everything.
Using her for that kind of thing. Yeah.
And she would give. But with me, it's like she is not sympathetic. She is not sweet. I think she used to be back in the day.
She was a kid back then. So here's a couple of things. Go with me on this. She is a lot like her dad, but she is in different ways. She is a lot like you, though.
How?
Have you? No. And I don't want to say she's mean, because I would say for you, you're like a no BS person. Like, it is what it is. This is what it is. And that's great that you think that, but this is really how it is in real life. And I feel like the way you're talking about her, I could completely see you having that kind of conversation with your mom. Like, it's not about you. It's not. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever had that conversation with your mom? Because I feel like I
don't think that I could even talk to my mom that way.
And I could see that, and I would have never been. And I think it's
disrespectful. I mean, it does come up, and we've gotten into it, because I've told her, like, you're being disrespectful, you're crossing the line. You need to watch your next step. You need to watch the next thing that you say that comes out of your mouth. And usually it'll kind of shut her up, but then I get that evil look on her face, like she really wants to stab me.
Like, fine, I won't say it, but I'm thinking
exactly.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go choke on a bone. You know, like I feel like she's like thinking the worst things that could happen for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I think where I feel like I fail is that I feel like I cannot break through that. And I'll give you an example. I went into her room the other day because Tony tells me, he's like, every conversation you have with her can't be that you're writing her.
That's all my conversation.
You can't just, talk to her and it's like, did you do your dishes? Did you do your homework? Did you do? Did you do? What is this? What is that? Where are we with this? Where are we there? You have to have more of a conversation with her. And I'm like, well, I try to sometimes.
It's just really hard
when
they don't do the basic things.
Yes, but when I walk in and things aren't done that she knows is supposed to be done, of course, I'm going to say, why aren't these things done?
Right.
Or where are you with these things?
See, you're nicer. I'll never ask, where are you? I'll ask, did I not tell you this needed to be done? I'm not ever nice, like, well, where are you with this? I'm like, well, what's the deal?
Well, usually,
why have you not done this?
But see, I could say it like, where are we with these things? And they know it's more like, they know that
why
that
haven't
means,
you done this?
Yeah, why the F aren't they done yet? They know that's what it means.
Yeah.
But he's like, you need to have, so I go in her room and I'm like, hey, and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? Watching something? Why? What? I'm like, nothing. What are you gonna do today? Or what's new? What's going on? Like sitting on her bed.
Like, why are you talking to me?
I'm fine. Can you get out? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna get out. I'm talking to you. Why?
Yeah. That's
get
her
out.
age.
Get out. Age. And I'm like, I just want to have a conversation with you. I just want to talk to you about your day and see what's going on with you. Yeah. That's it. That's all. Okay, well, there's nothing to talk about.
Can you go now?
Can you get out?
Yeah.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to take this door off right now. This is my house. This is not your house.
But is that the response that conversation needed? It's like when Tony was like, but are you, when he was talking with me last time, he's like, are you overreacting to the comment that was made? And I'm like, well, yeah, I am. But why are you making that comment? Like,
yes, like, don't be disrespectful. Don't ask me. Don't tell me to get out.
Yeah. I don't, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't remember being a kid, and I'm sure my mom could be like, no, listen. I mean, my mom and I are very close, so I think we had a different kind of relationship. But, I mean, Hayden says stuff to me, and I'm like, you need to stop talking to me like that. Yeah. You talk to me like I'm just an annoyance, that I'm an idiot. Like, why?
I don't know where it's like all of a sudden you have this, where is this like braveness coming from that you think you can talk to me like I'm an equal?
I don't know, because we're not an equal. Spoon out right now. I don't care how old you are. I do not care. But
that's where I even feel like, I've never been okay with her talking like that. I've never been okay with that. What the hell just happened? Why is that? Why does she think that that's okay?
Yeah.
And why does she think that, I mean, there's it's like the attitude is like the worst for me. And then it goes in, there's like a list of things that trickle, but it's like the only good thing that I'll say is right now, she still is, she's still a good kid. She's not like, fucking around out on the streets. She doesn't want to be.
She's not. She's a good kid.
She wants to go to school. She wants to finish school and go off to school. She's working. I think she's still lazy. She's still lazy.
Okay.
And that bothers me a lot because I'm not a lazy person.
I'm not a lazy person, but you're still preaching the choir.
But it's like, okay, she still has goals of going off to school. Yeah. I signed her up for the PSATs again this year, and she was excited. She's happy. Oh, she's like, oh, good. I was going to tell you about that.
That's good.
I'm like, okay, so she still has like these things, but I'm just like, so I know that there's like, okay, if I could just get through high school.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, But did I like, where did I go wrong in like,
I don't think
I
you
don't know.
did.
I feel like she's struggled so much these last few
Yeah.
years. She's struggled with her identity. She's
Mm-hmm.
struggled with,
I
with
mean, just going
friends.
into, I mean, well, even junior high, right? Like junior
Yeah,
high, and that's a tough
it
time,
started.
like, because, and that's kind of like, I'm hoping that that'll be a good time for Jax. Like, you're going to go into a school where there's all these other kids. But then at the same time, it's like, now there's all these other kids. Like, what if my friends go off and be friends with these people and then I don't have any friends? And
Well,
like, there's all of that.
and I look back and I was looking at pictures the other day of like, you know, when she left elementary and went into junior high,
Mm-hmm.
all the girls were still kind of friends, and the friends that she had then,
Oh, yeah.
none of them are her friends today.
No.
And, it's like she was never an athlete. She doesn't like to play sports. Drama, arts, theater, drawing, that's all her thing. It's all her jam. And that's great. But kids went off to play sports. Kids went off to cheer. A lot of them became cheerleaders and stuff. That was not her thing. So I don't know. I'm like, did I not push her enough to like get involved in something else? Should I have made her stuck with volleyball even though she sucked? I don't know.
I don't,
It's like,
and I don't think that's the thing. I don't
and
think
it's
that's an
not like
issue.
she's great about meeting people as she goes. She can talk to people and meet people as she goes. It's not like she is in a ball and she doesn't know how to talk to people.
Right.
But it's just like, I feel like she's struggled a bit.
It's hard to put yourself out there. And
I hate it. And then I feel like they've lost a year and a half of that, of learning that in high school.
Yeah.
In junior high.
It's really messed them up. It really did. It really messed them up. And I thought, I was talking with the owner of the dojo for karate our kids go to, and he said, Hayden's a casualty of COVID. And I'm like, he really is. And I didn't realize it until school started again. And it was like, he's just before school started, that's when everything started coming to a head. And it's like, there are so many kids that are that. I mean, T struggled during it. And I mean,
there is nothing, there's no worse feeling.
Right.
Than what I went through last year with her.
Yeah.
And there's no worse feeling than feeling like you don't know you're going to lose your kid and you don't know how you're going to get him back.
Right.
And what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's why we've said it time and time again. We're big advocates for therapy.
Yeah.
And searching and seeking outside help because we can't fix it.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah. We're not
obviously I feel like I'm failing every day. I can't fix it.
Yeah. No, but it's
the little ones, yes, there are many days where I feel like I yelled too much. I lost my cool too much.
Every day.
I should have done this differently. But it's so much worse as they get older ones. For the teens, those teenage
and
years.
Going through this is a different thing.
It's
like
different.
I went through rough stuff, like situations that I didn't like. Oh, I hated this. I didn't want to do that, whatever. But nothing like this.
I had
where they feel so alone.
Yeah.
And that's a worse spot for a kid their age. But then there was kind of no getting around it.
Yeah.
Because they were.
Yeah.
They were alone. Really?
Yeah. And I think we need to go into the next episode talking about mental health and the mental health of us and the mental health of our kids.
I was going to tell you I want to talk about that soon.
Because I think it's important that we shed light on it because mental health is important. And it is. It gets to you and it gets to children too.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not immune to it.
They're not.
Not at all.
It doesn't only affect the 18 and over.
Right. Not at all.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for swapping with us today. We hope that you got something out of that.
Thanks.
Segment music by Callie Grace. For more of Callie Grace's hits, follow Callie Grace on iTunes and Spotify today.